What's up, guys? It's your boy, the Badwolf. All right, so people have been asking me to make a video on the Strawman, so we're going to go a little bit off of these three very infamous books, and then I'm going to just kind of freelance a little bit about it from my perspective. So before I get into this, and I'm not going to go through each book and everything in there, but I will tell you how to get your hands on these little beauties before we're done here. So the straw man. Okay, so when I do consultations, people always ask me, to kind of explain what's going on, I guess, in a nutshell. So before we get there, don't forget to hit that bell, like, subscribe. I definitely want to say I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Right now, the ladies are only at about 27%, and there's like 70-some% that the guys are who are subscribing. I think we just hit 25,000 subscribers, so thank you for that, guys. I never expected to get there. So if we double this at one point in time, that will be fire. It says about 50-60% of people who have subscribed, which means that almost double that are people who haven't. So we should easily be able to hit $50,000 in the next, or 50,000 subscribers in the next, I don't know, year maybe. So that is the next goal, 50,000, all right? Although we will celebrate any milestones between there and now and there. So anyway, so the straw man and all of this system. So the short version of all of it is that your name, when your parents gave you the name that you have, it's a three-part name typically, okay? So for instance, James C. Lovett. Now, because everybody in America just happens to have that name, but in the old days when people came here, their names were shortened into the three-part name. They got their legal name or their U.S. corporation name. So, but Wolf, what do you mean U.S. corporation? Well, look up online, where is the location of the debtor? Or is the United States a corporation located in Washington, D.C.? If you look up these things, you'll find that in there. So what is a corporation? There are businesses, okay, incorporation. So corp is Latin for body, ation is to animate, and in is to transfer something in. So we are putting our living life force energy into a dead body and we are animating it. So our names that were in this convenient three-part format, which usually it should be just the first name and last name, okay, is your legal name. Sometimes they'll use the middle initial. But that format, okay, is conveniently in the right format from when our parents gave us that name, that when we got the birth certificate, okay, it made us a federalized state employee. So state employee in their jurisdiction on paper, and also subject to the jurisdiction of the federal government. They show this jurisdiction by having your name in all capitalized letters to represent the jurisdictional difference. They have to do this by law. So that process is called transmutation. You're taking something from, and you can look this up on the Social Security Administration POMS information, and it'll tell you whether they transmute the name. That simple word, transmute, is to change from one to another. Okay, one jurisdiction or one type, one form to another. So when you accept that name transmuted, now your normal name has become their property. Most people don't even own their own names. They're just using it as they want you to use it as a surety, meaning you are vouching for the responsibility of it financially and personally, okay, all walks of life, whereas really we are the only the authorized agents of it, but they kind of try to put the surety position onto us. So what happens is that name then takes on a life of itself. They birth the name. Real living things are born, vessels and entities are birthed. Okay, so they birth a vessel on paper in their jurisdiction, as otherwise known as an employee, your nom de guerre, your war name in Latin, and so it's also looked at as a business trust or a public transmitting utility. It's a mask, if you will, to exist in their world. Okay? So what happens is without this mask, you can't do anything in their maritime admiralty jurisdiction. You, the living, can't enter their world of the dead without a dead mask. You have to take on an actor name, a persona, okay? That's why everything you do in that public transmitting utility's name, you sign for signage, okay? Signages go with what? Corporations. All right. That's why when you deal with a actor and you want their real name, you ask them to do what? For those playing the home game, autograph. So we the living people autograph things, and we autograph it in a way that is different from our straw man or our legal fiction name. All right. So that in a nutshell is basically what's going on. So if we look at these books, now these books are done by David E. Robinson, okay? And some of them are a little older, but they still have great information. They're only about $4 or $5 a piece. So you can pick up all three for 15 or 20 bucks. This one is the UCC Connection, How to Free Yourself from Tyranny, Common Law Handbook for Jurors, Sheriffs, Bailiffs, and Justices, and and this one is Meet Your Strong Man and Whatever You Want to Know. So some of the codes might be a little outdated. Some of the information, they might have changed since doing these books, but the premise is still the same. But you do need to know how to operate, in a modern day version of these things. So that's one of the reasons why I make these videos. So, for instance, some of the excerpts from here is those in power have a big secret. Paying tax is optional. Registering a vehicle or any of your property is optional. Paying a fine is optional. It's an agreement, okay, contract. Attending a court is optional. If you knew these things were optional, you obviously could lead a better life, but understand this. There is a reason why they do have these things in place, because some people are not self-governing. That's why. For instance, I've had at least 2 people tell me that since they got their passports done, they've been trying to speed past cops to test it out. No, I have never condoned doing anything like that, because I'll tell you what, if you speed, and especially if you're not a good driver, all right, and you hurt somebody, your passport can be revoked, period. Your privileges can be revoked. Remember, they're the ones who grant you some of these rules, or these freedoms, and if you hurt somebody in the name of public safety, they will take you down, period, all right? Now, like I said before, I've done this process for police officers and for federal agents and for a number of people. Even some people in the White House have contacted me, and I've done these processes for them. Not everybody's in the know on this stuff. Not everybody understands constitutional law or Supreme Court law. All right? So the book goes on to tell you about how to, well, one, deal with some of your debt, okay? Because those are really all obligations of your straw man. Okay, so a validation of the debt, that is the actual accounting. Okay, they have 2 separate books on most things that you do, and you don't know that. You've got the right to have the verification of a claim, okay, and have a signed invoice, a copy of a contract binding both parties, you and them. All right. And everything you write should have on there without prejudice or UCC 1-308. All right. So let's go on. I got a couple of highlights in here. It goes on to talk about what is money, okay? Because right now we're dealing with currency. Money is actually something that's backed by gold or silver. We got off the gold and silver standard back in 1933, okay? So that means that it's only a promise to pay. It's fiat, meaning it's just a promissory note. That's why a lot of people pay off things with promissory notes. When done correctly, to the right person and via the UCC information on there, because there are rules to creating one that must be followed. You can also look up bills of exchange. Okay, like here, the mortgage contract, okay, because the bank lied and never intended to lend a single cent of their own assets, but used your depositor's money. A valid contract, what must be in a contract for it to be valid? Breach of fiduciary duties, concealing things, violations. A lot of these things, you guys don't even know that they're doing to you, okay? Even police officers. I had one police officer lady, I won't mention her name, she's taking one of my friend's courses, done some seminars with them, and she even admitted that they don't teach us this stuff, all right? And so she's actually checked out this stuff, and she's learning that this is what's up. This is the law that supersedes it. But you have to understand, they're not going to teach people who aren't in the upper echelon of the in crowd, okay, what's going on. So the reason why a lot of you guys fail with your attempts with, dealing with police officers or bank low-level people or paying off some of your bills certain ways is because you're putting top-level, upper echelon information into hands of people who don't understand it. You're barely ahead of where those people are, and so they're taught by them, the knowers. Don't listen to them. That's all phooey. Yeah, they're dumb. Don't listen to that stuff. But see, those people are right in the sense that some things people do don't exist. Some private things don't exist in their public world. But some things overstand their situation. So that's why you have to know what's going on. And otherwise, you're going to be lost. So, okay, so here's another tidbit. So if there is failure to establish joinder, this which means a human voluntarily agrees to represent the strong man and so becomes subject to the status or statutes. So there has to be agreement. Why? Because there's no slavery in the United States of America. There cannot be any slavery, any form of kidnapping or against your will or frauding people. And yeah, everything has to be clear, concise, and open and explained. And if it's not, we have a problem. So if there's no slavery in the United States of America, and it can't be either in the United States corporation, then how can they do these things? Well, it's either by agreement or contract. And before you say you don't have a contract with them or an agreement, be careful. Because agreement can mean when a cop says, do you understand what I'm talking about? He just meant, do you stand under my authority? Well, if your papers are right, your car is right, then no, I don't understand. I overstand the situation because I'm not in your jurisdiction. I'm a foreign national. Okay? But you just saying these things, you need to be able to back it up with your passport, with your affidavits, your travel binder. You have to have all these things in place to shut them down. Because if you have one scrap left, you still have their driver's license. One lady told me she still has her driver's license, but she's trying to do right to travel. You can't, you have their markings, you have their plates, you have their ID. You didn't cancel your contracts. So yes, they still have a jurisdiction over you. So here, another tidbit. Seizing the vehicle would not be lawful if the vehicle did not belong to the company doing the seizing. So that just tells you right there, they're stealing your property. But if you have their plates on and their driver's license and your stuff is still valid and not just lapsed or suspended, like you actually gave them all their stuff back and closed it, because that's what gives them an ability to do stuff to your vehicle because you've registered it with them. We in the free world record things. In their world, they register things. Just like when you register for class, what happens? You go to class, they give you an ID and whatever else materials from them, and then you become part of them. And they give you these benefits and these privileges to be there. All right? So, the book also covers some postal stuff, how to create affidavits, consent, society, the fact that all this stuff is done on it's on a political basis. One of the things that people don't know is that you can have a political exemption. It's one of the things I have in my health and life affidavit is that you are saying that I have no political ties. I'm exempt from political situation scenarios because political is politics. Okay? And most of that stuff is going to be all within the corporation. Remember, when they ask you, do you reside in is on paper. Are you driving your vehicle within, it's a hell of a word right there, within the state of, because within means in some private situation, in something. So what is it? In the corporation of what? The United States, or the state of whatever state you live in. Because remember, the state that you live in has a republic side free of the people, like the land and the streets. But the state of is a corporation. You can look it up. I did a video on looking up state of Maine on dunnandbradstreet.com or dnb.com and see who owns what. Okay? So look up your cities, look up your businesses, all that stuff on Dun & Bradstreet is going to tell you they have a registered number. 99% of them are going to be a for-profit. So how can they be for the people if they're there to profit off of you? So like I said, there's many jurisdictional things go on. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. So that's about it, guys, on the Strawman. Once again, it is a fictional mask that you put on to represent you in their dead Admiralty maritime world. And so if you want to know more about that, look up Admiralty jurisdiction. Look up maritime jurisdiction. Buy your Black Laws dictionary. Look up these definitions, some of which I will be doing next. So stay tuned. Otherwise, guys, that's it. Badwolf is over and out. I want to thank you guys for hitting that bell, like, subscribe. Don't forget to check out Black Site 32, and don't forget to send in those donations. If you don't want to do that, then by all means, feel free to join the Wolf Pack, where you get all the additional information either early or some stuff that I do not release on the public side because it's only for the private. And otherwise get extra notifications and a little extra insights to other groups that we belong into where we talk more freely. So that's it, guys. Continue to take care of yourselves. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Stay out of trouble. Self-govern. Do not give these people reasons to bother you or to create these bonds and court situations and whatever else. That's what self-governing means. And much like I was talking to one of my guys last night about this stuff, who also admitted he kind of was trying to drive a little faster and whatever else and test them. Don't do that, okay? Because at some point in time, they'll just bring it to you, and you need to be ready. That's it, guys. I'll talk to you later. Badwolf's over and out.